Welcome back. It's been about 4 years since I initially reviewed the Next Level Racing Flight Simulator Cockpit, and I want to kind of just give you guys an update on, do I still think that it's worth it? Do I still use it? Have I needed to make any modifications? Did it last this long, right? How's the durability? So it's kind of a longer term review on the Next Level Racing Flight Sim Cockpit for those who may not already own it and considering on getting it for the first time. And so 4 years later, here it is. She's still standing. I'm still using this chair. It's still my go-to chair. I've not tried to replace it. I've not found anything better, but there are some things that you need to know in the long run that you have to deal with this Next Level Racing chair. Now I have the Boeing edition. There is obviously the military Boeing edition. There's also the regular one with the red straps on it and stuff like that, but I'm not too worried about that. So we'll start with the number one thing that I honestly don't like about this chair after all these years. Matter of fact, this happened around a year after, or maybe a year and a half after I got this chair, and that is this right here. I'll see if I can show you a picture from my initial review, but look at the seat. Look how much space is between the top of the seat and the padding here. Matter of fact, this whole padding has been smushed down and I cannot get the padding to come back up. So the initial issue that I had with this chair after all these years is just that this seat, eventually, because it is using foam, eventually does kind of wear out and just kind of sinks in. And so for me, it started to hurt my back because something about the way this back piece and the chair is once it wears out just wasn't as comfortable for me anymore. So what I ended up doing is I would grab a pillow and sit it on top of here. Matter of fact, that's what I do right now. Right now, I set a pillow on top of that. That's what I sit on the most of the time. If you watch any of my, most recent live streams, you'll see there's a pillow back here as well on the back piece, just so I can kind of sit up. And so, yeah, just over time, honestly, it got a bit uncomfortable. I do use this chair not just for flight simming, but also for my everyday, day-to-day job. I work from home, so I sit at this chair. I sit at this computer most of my day, but that's the first thing that I kind of think I wish that either I could buy a new cushion to replace this with, so I can kind of like refresh that, or I can get it refluffed. I'm sure if somebody knew how to do seats and stuff, you could probably fix that yourself. So it's not a big deal for some people, but for me, that's kind of one of the downsides and one of the major downsides that I had. But again, I still like this chair for the most part, and so that's why I ended up just putting a cushion there, and I work with that. Now, while we're down here, you're not going to be able to see it very well, but underneath the chair, I am using the butt kicker. That's one of my favorite purchases I've made since I had this chair. The chair does come with an adapter to work with the butt kicker. If you don't know what a butt kicker is, I have a whole video talking about that. It basically vibrates your chair based on what's happening in your simulator. Works for trucking, flight sim, etc. Anyways, let's start from the right side. I do have my Boeing hardware set up right now. We have the Thrustmaster TCA. We have the dual Thrustmaster TCA Boeing throttles. Now I do have a modification here. This is the Sierra Delta throttle handles. They're 3D printed. I think they're bought from Etsy, and they have an extra cord and wire that allows you to use like the toga switches. So all these switches actually work. And that's, again, another video going into detail with that. But one issue that I have that I ran into with not just, the dual throttle, but if I look down here, this right here is actually my old laptop. Now, I have this laptop sitting on the side panel because the desk clamp for the Thrustmaster Boeing throttle does not clamp tight enough to fit onto the default Next Level Racing side clamp, and so I had to put something in between so it could actually stay on there, fairly firmly, still pretty, wobbly, but I'll make it work, and that's what I use right now. Now, also notice that I found what I think is a fairly clever way of mounting my WinWing FMC. Now, this chair came out way before WinWing kind of entered the game for flight sim, and so sadly, a lot of the WinWing stuff is not really that easy to mount on the Next Level Racing chair. WinWing didn't really have Next Level Racing chairs in mind all that much, but it does have a desk clamp that you can buy separately down here for WinWing. And so what I did is I basically mounted this backwards. It's kind of hard to see, it's a bit dark, but I mounted this backwards, and I also attached that to the laptop because I think I can get this one pretty tight on the clamp, but because I have this on there already, I did that. You can obviously see I have wires going down here again. Please ignore all the horrible wires and cabling right now. I'm kind of doing a transition in my setup. So one of the reasons why I'm showing this video, because you may not see it the same in the future. But anyway, so I have my throttle and I have my FMC both there on that right side. Let's continue. We'll start from down there. So we have our pedals down there, which are the Windwing Skywalkers. I normally use the Thrustmaster ones, but I just happen to have those set up because right now I have the Apache Collective on. So I'm technically using my helicopter setup right now, and I just kind of put my Boeing stuff on there so I can show you guys this video. But the point I want to make on this right side panel here where I have my throttle and FMC is that I'm hoping that Next Level Racing can either create some modifications to their chairs or a whole new chair that kind of is better compatible, you know, with more desk clamps and more mounting options and things like that. Usually you'd have a keyboard stand here on this right side, but I removed it because I don't have space for it. So also, a tip, if you ever decide to buy any of the Next Level Racing chairs, make sure that they come with wheels. Again, you can't really see it too well because it's all black on black, but I do have caster wheels on all. I have 6 caster wheels on the bottom of this setup, so that way I can actually roll it around, move it as I need to. As you can see, I have wooden floors, so sometimes I need to move things out so I can clean and things like that, and it's much easier if you have the wheels installed. So the mass centerpiece here is the Thrustmaster TCA Boeing 787 yoke there. I love that thing. Still fully stand behind it. I use it all the time and it's mounted very nicely. No issues with that, honestly, at all. No problems with the center mount for the yokes. Now, one issue I have had is with the Moza products. So Moza have some massive, you know, direct drive force feedback, you know, products, and they don't really work too well with the Next Level Racing. It's just the mounts. It was never meant for that. All right, there it is, the Moza AFB direct drive force feedback base. You can just see just how large it is compared to the yoke there, but just look how it sits. I mean, it doesn't even fit in this little crease here very well. Also, it sits too high whenever you're using it as a center mount. And imagine putting this guy on the side. It's also still going to sit too high. So again, Moza didn't really have Next Level Racing in mind too much. You can technically mount it with the chair. It just, the positioning is just all off. I've told Moza that. I'm hoping that Moza can make a change on their end. I've told Next Level Racing that. I'm hoping they can make a change on their end. And then it's just not practical, in my opinion, which is the reason why I don't use it as much as I really want to. Also, this Moza freaking direct drive wheel base is just way too large. There's got to be a way to make that smaller. They also have a yoke, force feedback yoke base that will sit up here, which is massive as well. So I know Moza's have some pretty good product in racing, and I just don't really like the sizing that they're working on. But anyways, so that's that. As you can see, I do have a desktop still here. I have a desk, which is what my TV is sitting on. It's a 4K 40-inch, I think, TV screen that I use for my gaming monitor. Highly recommend it. I also have an actual gaming monitor over here, which is probably more expensive than the TV, but it's tiny. You know, which is the reason why I went with that. But I have my Windwing Boeing set up here, as well as the PU Korea panel on the bottom there. So that's what I'm using for that. And yeah, over here I have my my helicopter grip. Now usually this chair doesn't really play that well with helicopter setup. So if you're a person who wants to fly helicopters and only helicopters, this chair is really not the best for that. There are actual chairs out there who are kind of made for helicopters, to have helicopters in mind. It's not impossible. As you can see, I am doing this. Again, I do have another whole video about how I modified this chair to make it work with the Virpil grips specifically. I've actually flipped over the left panel there and attached it upside down. Yeah, again, I explained how I did that whole thing in the video, so listen to that. Another gripe that I have with the chair that really didn't show up until later on in life was that it gets squeaky. I don't know if it's because I didn't put it together good enough or what, but like this little area here where the chair reclines, which is one of the cool features of this chair, is that you can actually adjust it and recline it however you please. But over time, this becomes, I guess the oil or the grease gets dry or whatever, and it becomes very, very squeaky. Right now, as I move it, you don't hear anything because I put WD-40 on it. So then again, you know, it's not a big deal. You can fix that very easily, but I have to put that out there, that over time it will most likely squeak. Since I've had this flight sim set up, I have changed rooms in the house, and I do want to point out that if you're going to move like houses or rooms or just move this setup at all, it's not very convenient. It's not very portable. Worst case scenario, you're gonna have to probably tear it apart or to at least take the arms off to get it through any doors. Wherever you build it is where you need to keep it. Don't build this chair outside of the room you're planning on using it in, because it will not, with the arms attached, it will not fit through most doors. And even without the arms attached, it's still a big hassle to get it in and out of a room or a space. So again, that's why I recommend having the wheels. So you can slide it around a single room, but if you need to move it from room to room, it's going to be a bit of a hassle there. So especially if you're moving upstairs, oh my God, God bless you. Now, what about for racing? I know in my initial review I mentioned how, like, if you kind of are a kind of person who likes to do flight sim, but also dabbles in racing sim or trucking sim, you can actually get a direct drive wheel or a regular force feedback wheel to work with this setup. You just need to have a desk clamp. It's really the only thing required to make a racing setup work with this is a desk clamp. Now, this is not made for that, so depending on the wheel you get, you might not have the right, mounting holes or position to get it to work. That's why I recommend using a desk clamp, because then you can mount it just like how all the yokes are mounted. But you can use it for racing and trucking if you please, but outside of that, it's made for flight sim. You can fly any type of hardware you're looking to do. Again, some of the most latest stuff like the Moses don't work that great with it. Wing, you have to kind of find a way to make some of the autopilot panels and because there's no, like, I have this desk here, so I have my autopilot panel on. But if I didn't have this desk, I don't know how I would mount that autopilot panel, to be honest. And I feel like I got lucky or clever with how I mounted my FMC. So some of these newer products, a bit harder, got to get a bit more creative on getting it to work. But if you're using like an Airbus setup, like the Thrustmaster or the Wing Airbus setup, you're just fine with that there. The Boeing stuff is good. The Honeycomb stuff is good. Turtle Beach has a whole mount that comes in the box with that. So you're pretty much good with any of the typical most popular flight sim gear that's out there already. So to answer the initial question, after 4 years, do I still recommend this chair? Do I still use it? Is it still worth it? And the answer to all that stuff is honestly yes. I still use it. I'm not replacing it with another chair. I really do like this chair. It does everything I need to do and more. There's a lot of things that came in the box that I never touched, never mounted, never used, because it has more than enough screws, more than enough panels than I need for the most part. Obviously, you can never have enough, right? But yeah, I like it. The answer is yes. It's definitely still worth it. I do recommend it. And actually, thanks to watching this video, you can actually save money. I think it's 5% off of any Next Level Racing products that you buy off their website using the code in the description. So check that out. And thanks to Next Level Racing for making that possible. But I hope this video was indeed helpful to you. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you own this chair? How has your chair lasted after all these years? Or are you considering getting it? And thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, you have 3 choices: give up, give in, or give it all. You got peace, love, and God bless you. I'll see you guys next time, next video. I'm out. See ya.